You think you're showing affection, but to your dog, it might feel like a punishment. Most owners have no idea that one common way of petting actually triggers stress, fear, or confusion in their dog. If you're doing this, even with the best intentions, your dog might think they're in trouble. The heavy head pat. Let's start with something almost every dog owner does without thinking, the classic head pat. You see that goofy grin and your hand just goes there, right on top of their head. Maybe even a couple firm pats for good measure. But here's the problem. Many dogs don't like it. In fact, it can make them feel nervous or even like they're getting scolded. And this isn't just opinion. Renowned canine behaviorist Dr. Patricia McConnell has seen this play out again and again. What feels affectionate to us can feel threatening to them. She says that, to your dog, patting their head can feel more like pressure than affection. In dog language, a hand coming straight down over the head is often interpreted as dominant or even threatening, especially if there's no warning. If you think, but my dog loves it. Well, I regret to announce that if Dr. McConnell and her colleagues are correct, your dog just tolerates it. In fact, if you pay attention, you might spot a trio of important signs that they're not digging the pat as much as you might have thought. Number 1, are they ducking? Number 2, are they blinking rapidly? Number 3, are they licking their lips? You may think dogs who flinch or duck when patted on the head are being a touch dramatic, but from their point of view, they're reacting to something that mimics an assertive or disciplinary act amongst the dog community. If you're in the mood to touch your dog's head and give them a little love, a better opinion would be to give them a good old-fashioned scratch under the chin, along the side of the face, or even on the chest. Or you can just give up on petting them entirely and just hug them, right? The freeze and squeeze hug. Wrong. Hugs are yet another thing your dog tolerates to keep you happy rather than something they actively enjoy. Kind of like a kid forcing themselves to strike a nice pose for a school photo because they want to keep their mom happy, but hating every second of it. A 2016 study by Dr. Stanley Coren examined 250 images of people hugging dogs. The result? Over 80% of the dogs showed visible signs of stress or discomfort. Everything from ears pinned back to stiffening their body to showing the whites of their eyes to actively trying to pull away. Dr. Karen Overall, a veterinary behaviorist, describes these as calming signs. But why do they hate hugs? What's so wrong with having loving arms enveloping you? Well, it's literally because arms are enveloping you. Imagine if you were just going about your business when, without warning, because you can't understand the language of the only other person in the room, big fleshy chains wrapped around you. Now imagine if you didn't have your own arms, so couldn't resist. Now imagine if you couldn't speak, so couldn't ask the person wrapping you up to stop. Sounds a bit like a hostage situation. For that reason, all dog experts are in agreement that to your dog, a hug can feel like dominance or a threat, even when coming from someone they love. If you want to hug them, but don't want to convince them they're being taken to prison, try simply sitting next to them and letting them lean against you in their own time. Or if they roll over, hey, it's belly rub o'clock. Though it's not always about how you touch your precious pooch, but when you touch them. But there is a time when you shouldn't pet them. The after scold stroke. I'm sure your precious pooch is also a perfect pup who never ever does anything wrong. But on those rare occasions when they do cheekily misbehave, you might need to scold them. But then their ears flop and those big sad eyes kick in and you feel bad. So feeling guilty, you reach out to pet them to make things better. The problem is, this just confuses the message. Dogs are basically Buddhists. They live in the moment. Well, more on this in my next topic. Their understanding of timing is laser sharp, so if you scold them, but then immediately follow it up with a loving touch, that's super confusing. Are you upset or not? Was that pet a correction or comfort? They can't navigate the mixed signals. We all want to let our dogs know we still love them after we have no choice but to tell them off. because they peed all over our antique paintings or ate our lasagna. But the better way to handle this is to simply give them some space and let them reset. Then, once a sense of calm has returned, you can lean in and offer the affection. Bonus points if you keep your tone soft and let them approach you first. There is another time you should avoid pouring too much physical affection on them, but it's a vaguer time, a harder time to pin down. The wrong timing affection. A moment ago, I was talking about how your dog lives in the moment. That means they are creatures of context. If you pet them in the middle of stress, confusion, or hyperarousal, they may associate your touch with the wrong emotion. Let me give you an example. Let's say your dog is barking at the mail carrier. They really don't want you to have to receive those bills, and good for them. So in an attempt to soothe them, you crack your knuckles and get to petting. No shade at all. From a human point of view, that's very loving. But to your dog, that might seem like you're praising them for barking. Instead, if it's possible, wait for calm, then reward. Petting should be part of the bonding moment, not a confusing cue thrown into emotional chaos. The too much of a good thing rub down. You might be thinking, none of this is true. My doggo is a great big cuddle bug. And yes, you're right. Some dogs do break the mold and love a bit of affection. My nan's dog Benji defied all stereotypes and couldn't get enough hugs. But even the cuddliest dog, even Benji, has a threshold. Too much of a good thing can always be overwhelming. Fast or rough petting, especially if repeated too often, can overstimulate a dog's nervous system. What starts as joy turns into discomfort. And you may see signs including those mentioned earlier, but also moving away without engagement, and needing to have a big shake, like they're trying to break free from some bad vibes. Watch your dog's cues, pause often during petting. If they nudge you for more, keep going. If they sigh and settle, you're doing it right. If they wander off, let them go. The hand hover. If there's one lesson any pet parent to a precious pooch should take away from this vid, it is that consent is king. Always touch base and read the room to ensure your dog is down for physical affection, even if they are normally game. You shouldn't default to assuming they always are. Dogs can have off days, too. Maybe the treats tasted worse this week, and they've got a bad case of the blues. But with that said, there's a common thing many dog owners do when they try a little too hard to ensure consent. Some people reach toward a dog slowly, hovering above the head as if waiting for permission. It seems like a nice and slow way to check if your dog is in the mood to be petted. But from your dog's point of view, a hand is just, well, hovering above them but not asking. It adds a weird tension, like standing too close to someone in an elevator. Ew. Dogs may interpret this as unpredictable or eerie. They might freeze or even growl softly, not from aggression but anxiety. A nice remix of this tactic, that is less tense, is to let your hand come in low from the side. Let them sniff you, pet their shoulder or chest, let the affection feel mutual, not imposed. Want to know more about judging physical connection with your dog just right? Then watch this video next.